when I started earlier in this business, I found myself pulling my punches in an effort to not insult the guys. I don't want to ostracize somebody. I don't want somebody's feelings to be hurt. I don't want somebody to go like, "What the hell, Amy? Why aren't you talking to me?" And I realized that I was doing a massive disservice to the people that I actually feel soul called to work with, to support, to help. Welcome to the Manifesting Millions podcast, where we talk about manifestation, money, and practical guidance to creating your dream reality. My name is Amy Van Meel, and I am an experienced coach and transformation guide, obsessed with helping you get out of your own way and create a life that blows your mind each day you wake up. My goal in this podcast is to share practical manifestation, self-awareness, and growth techniques in real talk conversations. So if you're ready to massively transform your reality, your finances, your relationships, and your overall enjoyment of life, you are in the right place. I am absolutely delighted that you're here with me today, babe. Let's get into it. Hello, my loves, and welcome to the very first episode of 2025. And happy New Year's Day. If you're listening to this on New Year's Day, I'm delighted to share some time with you today. Now, if you've listened to the last couple episodes, you'll know that I've recorded this podcast a few weeks earlier. Technically, it's only December 16th when I'm recording this. So past me is wishing present you a very happy New Year's Day. And I trust that you had a really wonderful, rejuvenating, refueling, if nothing else, at least like stuffed your belly full, like one meal at least, holiday season, right? Christmas, New Year's, whatever, all the business. This is a bit of a different holiday season for my love and I. Normally, I spend every year, I get so excited about going skiing on Christmas Day, skiing on New Year's Day, skiing on Boxing Day. This year, however, we have been on the road. So we were out towards Edmonton to spend time with my husband's family over Christmas. At this present exact moment, we are spending time with my family in Manitoba. So, of course, we have like friends taking care of our home and everything is well sorted back home, but we are on the road, which means I haven't seen the mountains at this time in more than a week. And that's a bit odd for wintertime, but here we are. So, c'est la vie. I have a juicy episode for you today. Now, one of the things that, of course, I'm sure, I mean, how could you not? If you live on social media anywhere, even if you barely crack it open like I do, you will have seen people talking about like setting intentions, what are your New Year's resolutions, the whole business, right? And I mentioned in the last episodes that December is a juicy time for me of like reflection and preparing and intention setting. And I do a whole thing where I get ready for the year to come. What I wanted to do in today's episode is share with you just 4 of the questions that I have been ruminating on, reflecting into, leaning into, and I'm using to frame up my 2025. What I am curious about and will likely do next year, I put a little feeler out and didn't get a whole lot of feedback from it on the socials. I'd love to run a workshop at some point about how to set really powerful intentions for the year so that they actually come in and in the best possible way, right? Like, I mean, intentions are super, super powerful. So there's a reason why I set them every year. I have never, ever, ever, well, actually, I can't say that correctly. I have almost never done New Year's resolutions. That's not really my jam. I'm sure I did them back in my 20s or my teens when that was like kind of the whole thing. But I mean, most New Year's resolutions seem to kind of fall by the wayside by like February, right? Let's be real. Whereas when I learned how to shift and instead begin setting intentions, oh my goodness, my world changed. Every year, pretty much every intention that I've set has come true. Some of them have come forward in ways that were not at all like what I thought I intended. That's the joy of life. Sometimes it shows up in a completely different way and you get something else that you needed or wanted instead. Um, so I take the time to like set the intentions very carefully. What I want to share today is just 4 questions for you to ruminate on, play with, see if they feel good for you. I shared in episode 144, the idea of like take what works, leave the rest. So do the same with this. And there's no particular order to this. And these are only like 4 of the questions. So when I go through actually setting intentions and like declaring, deciding, doing the whole thing of like, what am I leaning into in this next 12-month space, I go through a deeper process. But like I said, I think one day I'll probably create a workshop on it. Let me know if you're interested in that kind of thing. But like for now, I just want to share a few questions that I've been reflecting on. So I think in episode 144, yes, I'm pretty sure that's the episode. So not the previous episode, but the one previous to that. I shared about how I've really been going through a deep, deep, deep shift. More than just shifting beliefs, but like really an identity shift. And this is one of the questions that was part of the beginning of that awareness. So the question's a bit of a long one, but the question is, what if it's not about creating a new identity, but rather about peeling away the old stuff that's hiding what I've always been? For example, if I desire to be X, it must mean that I already am that, but there's something layered on top of that that's preventing me from really being that. So it's just about letting go of the old thing to let the true part shine through. So this question, you can use it for anything, like you can use it for like beliefs, etc. But this came out of the space of like really this fucking juicy space that I am both super in love with and also like, oh my God, like it's a lot. Space of like being in my 40s and just really reflecting on all of life and going, what is it that I want to actually carry forward? There's this real reckoning that I feel happening in my life right now of like, okay, there is some things they've actually just become habit, where I've carried wounds from the past that I'm like, but I thought I already healed it. And what I realized as I was kind of reflecting on this question and in the mental space of this question is I have healed it. And also I've made a habit out of carrying this forward. So great examples of this are like childhood wounds or parent wounds, right? Things that like were deep, were traumatic, took more than a little bit of effort in order to heal and move through. However, what I don't think that we really ever talk about, and perhaps that will become part of what you and I work through in 2025 together, is the fact that like, yes, we want to shift beliefs. Yes, we want to heal wounds and hurts and pains. Of course, all of those things are true. And also, we have habits in place that we may not recognize are in place that are kind of dragging this luggage along with us, right? Like think about, I love the idea of luggage. Think about when you pack to go somewhere. Oh my goodness. I can't lost count. I just don't want to count. It's been at least 5 or 6 times. My husband and I, it's like 3 years ago now, I think 3.5 years ago, we went to Greece and we did not want to bring checked luggage. This was shortly after COVID. It was in the height of when all the luggage was getting lost all over the fucking world. And we were like, yo, we are not here for that. We don't want our luggage to get lost. Let's just do carry-on. Cool. Now, as you probably know, carry-on luggage is dramatically smaller than checked luggage. So you have to be even more discerning with what you pack. Now, the part that amazed me, even though I thought I packed like as little as possible, is that probably 25% of what I packed still was like extra. It wasn't needed. I never used it. A great example of this is books. I have discovered that when I go on vacation, I don't really read. And probably that's because I read a shit ton when I'm at home. And when I'm on vacation, I finally have like 24/7 access to my husband. We're somewhere else in the world. There's amazing things to see and experience. And I'm like, fuck reading books. Like, let's go out and do stuff, right? But the point is, I had this habit of packing books. I had a habit of packing, pick something, right? Like we have habits of packing certain things. But maybe it's worth going in the next time you're packing to go somewhere of like, do I actually ever use this thing? Or am I just taking this with me out of habit? And that's what I mean when it comes to like this question of what if it's not about creating new, but rather about peeling away old. This peeling away is this removing of these habits. So question one for you to ruminate on and play with a little bit. Question two. Actually, these two are kind of related. So I'm going to say them together. For me, how I was thinking about this was thinking about the quarters of the year. Okay, so these two questions came out of the space of thinking about what's coming up in my business, where I want to go, what's that going to look like, all of those things. So this is where those questions emanated from. Listen up, ladies. Are you tired of being told to be confident like a man? To be confident but not brash? To be compelling but not too talkative? To take up space but not too much? It is exhausting and impossible to follow the rules of the game that are supposed to help us show up more authentically, to feel more confident, and to be seen and valued in our work, because the rules of the game were never written for women. I am tired of this, and so I have got a game-changing workshop coming your way in early 2025. It is all about unlocking your authentic feminine confidence, the kind that naturally attracts promotions, raises, recognition, respect, without needing to practice gross male cocky energy or feeling like you're putting on a mask. Imagine feeling grounded and secure as you add your voice to the next group meeting. Imagine naturally attracting in recognition, respect, and opportunities. Imagine how good it will feel to own your voice, to share your power, and not spend the days afterwards worrying that you came across as too strong, too bossy, or too much. That's the power of true confidence, and I want to show you how to embody it. This workshop will be hosted live in early 2025, and the time is now to get on the wait list. Don't miss out on early bird registration and insider discounts that will only be shared with folks who have put their name on the wait list. So join the wait list now by going to amyvanmeel.com/confidence. It is time to stand in your power, babe. It is time to shine in your career. Sign up to the waitlist today. So the first question is, what 4 elements am I curious or interested to explore in 2025? And question 2 is, what 4 questions am I curious or interested to explore in 2025? Now, let me unpack those a little bit. I'll start with the questions and then lean into the elements. So what I've been looking at, again, thinking about this in terms of like the quarterly business cycle, okay? And we can do business in a whole bunch of different ways, and it doesn't have to tie into business, but this is just where this idea of 4 came from, related to the business quarters. When I have been looking ahead, planning ahead, thinking about what 2025, what I want it to look like, what I intend, what do I want to bring forward? Who do I want to become? What does that look like? I feel like I've said that 4 times, but anyway, here we are. That's what it is. What I realize is that I've been sort of framing it up as like So what if I spent, 3 months sitting in a question? For example, this I haven't decided if this is a question. Like, remember, at this point, this is like still December 16th. So by the time you will be hearing this episode, I will likely have framed up my questions, and it may or may not be one of these. So, for example, one of the things that is currently on my mind is the idea of confidence, okay? And teaching about confidence, really helping other women find, learn, embody, and fully take charge of their confidence in a way that feels true and real for women. I mean, you just heard the little ad spot about the wait list, right? So, like, get your buns on the wait list. But the question could be framed for, let's say, for example, the first quarter of the year of like, um, what or how do I want to embody deeper confidence in my life? Right? Again, I'm making this shit up because I haven't written this part down. I just have the questions. But that could be a question. And so perhaps if that's the question that I have for the first quarter, then leaning into the other question that I said of like, what 4 elements am I curious or interested to explore? Well, the element would be the element of like deep, true, authentic confidence, right? It's this unshakable, not immovable. That's not what I want to do. Flexible in the best way, right? But this idea of confidence and then going, okay, so what might that look like? What does it look like to be in that space? Where are where are situations or what are situations that maybe I feel less confident in, but I would like to feel more confident in? And perhaps in this 3-month period, I intentionally and actively how do I want to say this? Step into the discomfort in an effort and intentional action to build the confidence. So let me give like a random, for example. One of the things that frustrates me personally is when I'm in group conversations, and this tends to be guys. Sorry, guys. I don't mean to like drag you under the bus, but this tends to be guys where I feel frustrated. Okay. I'm not saying that guys in general are like wrong or bad or anything. What I'm saying is like these are situations where I feel this frustration. So where a guy or a group of guys will interrupt me, will talk over me, will basically not leave space for me to fully participate in a conversation. It drives me fucking nuts, okay? And it honestly does not matter how aware and respectful and like whatever the guys are. It happens more with men than it does with women. It happens with women, of course, too, but primarily it happens with men, and it drives me absolutely nuts. So if I'm in the question of how do I want to embody more confidence, and I'm in that like, well, what element am I interested to explore, and I want to be in the space of building confidence, well, then perhaps, a little worried that as I say this, I'm speaking this into an existence, but like, perhaps then that means the next time I am in a scenario where I am being talked over or continually interrupted, perhaps then I need to or will choose to go, actually, just a minute. I understand that you want to say something, but you've interrupted me and I'd like to complete my thought. Now, that even just saying that in this like safe container of like, it's just me and you, right? Like nobody else can hear us. It's just you and I. Please don't tell on me. Like even saying that here feels mildly terrifying. I'm like, oh my God, is that okay? Can I say that? It's a really interesting space to be in. So that's what I think of as these 2 questions. Like, what are the 4 elements I'm curious or interested to explore? What are the 4 questions that I'm curious or interested to explore? I want to add one more note on these 2 questions before we move on to our 4th question for this episode. Notice that the language says, am I curious or interested? That is very much on purpose. There is no need to, no have to, no must, no desiring to. Those words aren't in these questions. I very specifically use the words curious and interested because of this little subconscious hack. Your subconscious mind, our subconscious mind, all of our subconscious minds, your subconscious mind will hear need to and have to as being fully equated to survival, i.e., if this doesn't happen, I die. All right. Now you might think, okay, well, isn't that a great thing? Because then it'll assure that it's happening. The problem with that is when you are in full survival mode, which that language puts you into survival mode, your creative brain is shut down. You aren't leveraging the massive power of the supercomputer that exists between your two earlobes. You are fully in survival mode. You will just find like whatever it needs to do to ensure that you don't die. Doesn't mean that you're going to be successful. So if I said like, what 4 questions do I have to explore in 2025? First of all, that feels like dragging my feet in. I'm like, oh my God, I'm being dragged to the gallows, right? To explore this. But also it puts your brain into this survival state. So it shuts down your creative brain. When we talk about something as being interested in or curious about, we keep it in the forefront of our brain, into our conscious mind, into the creative mind. It signals, well, it literally signals interest. What it does is that signaling sends to our subconscious mind of like, oh, hey, this could be something that could be fun, could be engaging, could be, I'm trying to think of a different word than interesting. But like it brings your subconscious mind on board instead of like all the gates slamming shut and your every red alert goes off like burp, 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 burp. We need to survive. We need to survive. Instead of doing that, it keeps everything open so that your intuition can flow, your higher self can communicate through, your super conscious can communicate through. Language is super fucking important. Okay. I actually talk about that inside the money program. So there's a reason for it. Okay. This isn't a question. This is actually something that, I don't know how to say this. I'm just going to say this thing. So this isn't so much a question as a thing that I'm very curious and like want to lean into. So I call it my can't stop, won't stop list. Here's what I mean. When I was, and this one actually just dropped through earlier today. So I'm going to practice like full clarity. The point directly above it inside my notes app says, identify what I am teaching and what I am not teaching. Okay. Now, both of these, the what I am and what I am not, and the can't stop, won't stop list, these are for my own reference. This is not for like you out there or anybody else. I'm not selling on this stuff. This is just for my own internal reference. And I'm going to clarify that a tiny bit. One of the things that I notice, like, let me know if I'm the only one that feels this way, but I feel like I'm probably not alone. One of the things that I notice is I teach about money. This is just one example. I teach about money, and then I have this fear that if I don't know everything about money and I don't have all the completely correct information about money, and if I don't know every element of money and I don't know how it works in every single situation, in every single country, in every single business, in every single person's life, then there is something wrong. Okay? So when I come back to this, like, okay, what am I teaching and what am I not teaching? This is a constant reminder that has been looping through my head over probably the last 6 months. I am teaching women about money, specifically the history of money, the tools of money, how to be confident with money, how to leverage money. Okay? These are very specific teachings. I am not teaching how to write a budget, how to get venture capitalist funding, how to become a bazillionaire, how to, I don't know, like how to find the best deals online or like whatever. Like I don't teach those things, but maybe someday I'll share those things. I promise you, I absolutely fucking guarantee you that like as I figure out how to like lean fully into multimillionaire status, I'm gonna bring you with me. Okay, babe? This is not like a solo journey. I will go figure it out and then I'm gonna tell you all the things. So like get excited because you're coming along with me. This is how I roll. But I'm not teaching on those things now. And that's important for me to remember because When I worry that, oh my gosh, I don't know all of these things, I'm like, but that's not what I'm teaching about. Okay? When I'm teaching about how to be more confident, this is a fun one that like my brain likes to play with a little bit. I generally focus everything on women. Not because men don't need it, not because, women are better, none of those things. I am super passionate about working with women, helping women succeed, and specifically bringing information and knowledge and power into the hands of women. I am not catering to the men, which means when I talk about money, when I talk about confidence, when I talk about health or nutrition or empowerment, I am talking to women. And I am talking about it in a specific way that is going to make sense to and resonate with women, where guys might look at me like, that makes no fucking sense. Moreover, I'm less concerned about some guy going, that doesn't make any sense. I'm more concerned about some guy going, well, what the hell, Amy? Why, I want to learn about money too. Why won't you teach me about money? To which my response would probably be, if somebody ever asked me, listen, man, there's no reason that you can't buy the program, like fucking go in it. The knowledge is available for everybody. And I guarantee you're going to learn and you're going to grow and you're going to get some really, really great value out of it. But don't write me hate mail. You're like, well, this talks about women. Of course it does, because that is who I am focusing on. Now, that is important for me to remember so that when I started earlier in this business, I found myself pulling my punches in an effort to not insult the guys. I don't want to ostracize somebody. I don't want somebody's feelings to be hurt. I don't want somebody to go like, what the hell, Amy? Why aren't you talking to me? And I realized that I was doing a massive disservice to the people that I actually feel soul called to work with, to support, to help. All right. So that's where that question came from. How this feeds into my can't stop, won't stop list. Thinking about sort of like can't stop, won't stop dancing, can't stop, won't stop baking, right? Like can't stop, won't stop, whatever, living my best life. I thought about this as like, okay, what are the things that no matter what, it doesn't matter whether I have a business, whether I get a job, whether I'm 100 years old, whether I somehow go back in time and become 20 years old. I don't know. It could happen. Whether, I don't know, I become a bazillionaire or I am broke or I have an audience of millions or I have an audience of 5. Like, what are the elements that no matter what all this external shit is, I can't stop and won't stop doing? So here's the 3 that I have so far: teaching, coaching, and believing in the power of women. This is such a funny thing. It's taken me a long ass time to realize and recognize the fact that I have always been, and it is deeply integral in just who I am and how I exist in the world, that I am a natural teacher and a natural coach. Okay? I didn't grow up. There was zero desire, I think, when I was growing up to be a teacher. I never wanted to be a school teacher. Like, that's literally never been on my radar ever. I've envisioned myself for decades standing on stage, sharing knowledge with people, which is literally teaching. I have forever admired coaches, sports coaches, personal coaches, I don't know, pick a coach, whoever it is, in movies, in TV, in life, in whatever. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I want to do that. And it's taken me a long fucking time to realize I do this naturally, no matter where I am. And it doesn't matter who is around. Now, don't do this in an annoying way. I'm not like constantly like teaching in you and like coaching on you. I am very specific about that because, oh my gosh, it's kind of like someone who discovers religion, right? And all of a sudden they're like, oh my goodness, let me tell you about the Lord. I'm going to save you. It drives us all nuts. Okay. So very aware that's not how I'm approaching it. And I think, in fact, for myself, sort of a little self-reflection going as we go here, that probably the bigger area of growth for me is not so much in the fact that like I can't stop, won't stop teaching and coaching. But the bigger area of growth is probably more to go, Amy, how do we push through some of our discomfort in order to allow those natural gifts, those natural elements to shine through more, right? Like, where am I pulling my punches, not sharing knowledge or not offering insights with people in conversations, whatever, when if I instead leaned into it, I could actually help that person grow, shift, change, feel happier, whatever, right? So my can't stop, won't stop list is the things that no matter what,